Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Sorry about the really weird lighting, but it's that time of year when it's weird lighting. Today's video is about how I keep my Monstera Thai Constellation in water. I genuinely kept this a bit of a dirty secret because I don't actually think she looks particularly aesthetically pleasing, but I had a friend come round and was like, wow, that looks really cool. So I thought I would just tell you and I'll show you how I do it. And then if you wanna, you can. If you wanna go, oh my god, equally cool. So first I'll just briefly go into the reasons why I keep my Thai in water. Priority one is just to keep her alive. She has thrips, nothing new here. They refuse to leave. I spray her fairly regularly. But if you keep them in soil, right, thrips don't live in the soil, but every now and again eggs drop in, and it's not, if you have thrips on a soil plant, repotting it won't do a lot, but basically I just find it easier to, I can take the whole thing out and shower it down, and I don't need to worry about getting it too wet from spraying it or anything and getting root rot. It's just easier to wash. Thai Constellation are a little bit more prone to root rot than regular green Monstera. They still recover really well from it, so it's not something that I think should put you off buying one, but they're just less hardy. They're as hardy as a normal, say, what's medium prone to getting a root rot? Let's say a rubber plant. A little bit more prone than a normal Monstera, but not like necessarily really badly prone. Why am I saying this? So I used to keep my Thai in soil, but basically if I kept it in a chunky enough mix that she didn't get root rot, she ended up kind of drying out and growing really slowly. They grow slowly anyway, they're just naturally slower growing because all the white bits on them doesn't photosynthesize, and I can't imagine all the like messing around with the genes helped them grow quickly. So yeah, so they got white parts. They've had weird stuff done to their genes and their roots aren't as hardy, so they're just generally slower to grow. The plus side, they are, in my experience, they're cheaper than a regular elbow. That may be different where you live, but they don't revert, so you don't need to worry about them reverting. That being said, it doesn't mean you can keep them in lower light. They won't revert, but they won't grow either, So I struggled to keep mine in soil, basically, for various reasons. And so I ended up washing the roots off and putting it in our old aquarium, which it loved. The only issue that you have with keeping them in aquariums is keeping them upright because they're heavy and they don't grow in like an even way, so you can keep them balanced. They just don't. So we ended up having to like shove it in a bit of bogwood, which is fine because we had a big tank. I mean, that big terrarium in the corner was what we used to keep it in. But it's not like a helpful tip I can give other people. And when we moved, we're renovating this house in the distant future when we have some money. And having a big fish tank just isn't a useful thing to have when you have to like move it around a lot. So we switched it to a terrarium. The fish are all in like, they're divvied up into smaller aquariums. So this had to go in water. I could have put it in soil, but the roots grow so well in water that it just seemed kind of pointless. So we've got this big jar that I was going to make into a terrarium, but I thought I'd just do this. And not only does she absolutely love it, but it is incredibly low maintenance. I actually don't even fertilise it currently. I probably should at some point, in which case I will just use the General Hydroponics Flora series. I'll have to work out how much that holds. But the issue with keeping plants like this size in this kind of shape with the bottleneck is really good as well because I can sort of balance it. The good thing about Thais is they tend to be pretty good at aerial rooting. Do you know what I mean? They grow a lot of aerial roots pretty easily. Like this one snapped off and she's like, I'm just gonna keep, you can't see. Basically the aerial root stopped growing and then just started again. Good story. So yeah, this kind of long, tall, narrow setup really works for it. and it's easy to move. It's heavy, but it's not, I can move it myself. The issue with something like that is the root rot. So root rot is caused at a very sort of basic level by a lack of oxygen in the water. The lack of oxygen causes anaerobic bacteria to multiply and they cause root rot. So you need to get oxygen in the water. Now, the traditional way of doing this would be to just change it often, like you would with propagations, to stop it getting stagnant and deoxygenating. You just change, oh, the sun's coming again. What was I? Yeah, you just change the water often. And that is a bit of a pain, especially this time of year. Like, I only use tap water and you have to let it sit so it's the right temperature. It needs to be room temperature. If you put the roots into cold water, they won't like that. And that never used to be an issue because I could just take the water straight from the aquarium. But now we've got smaller aquariums. There's more of a difference when you take a lot of water out of it. The next option that I tend to recommend to people is to get an air pump. The issue with air pumps is twofold. First one is that just like logistically, they need a electrical source. Although having said that, we actually ran them off solar battery packs. I wouldn't recommend that. They're not reliable, and in the UK they can take like a week to charge and then run out in a day. So don't do that. Plus also they're really noisy. They're not noisy, like loud. They're just a constant that is really, really annoying. And we've tried a lot over the years for our various fish tanks. Even the ones that are like marketed as being silent only stay silent for like a week and then you're back to it's a pain. So instead of changing the water regularly or whatever, or getting an air pump, instead we added Java moss to this, and that oxygenates the water, so we don't need to change it. Every now and again I probably should, purely because the water in it has minerals and stuff like micronutrients that the plant will take in, so I probably should take out a little bit every now and again. But even if you just wanted to like literally every week take out a cup, like a pint glass full, and then add another pint glass, that's probably plenty. Should really start doing that. But yeah, adding the Java moss just means that you don't need to worry about the oxygen levels in the water. It doesn't really do anything else apart from provide shelter for the snails that will inevitably turn up. I don't know where they came from, probably eggs on the Java moss. We've also got duckweed in there. Again, if you have anything to do with aquariums, you'll know that you don't buy duckweed. Duckweed just turns up. If you have one, you will have millions. And now I've got a nice little layer on top, but I keep it on there because you might be able to see there is algae in there. Algae isn't an issue, it just looks a bit gross. But if you put the duckweed on the top, then it just keeps a little bit of the sun out. Algae is inevitable, by the way, if you don't like the look of algae. I mean, I don't like the look of algae, but I tolerate it because the Thai really enjoys it in there. Clear glass is not for you. It's almost impossible to stop algae growing in water in a clear container. It's just... It's what it does. It's what it's evolved over millions of years to do, and we can't stop it. And you will drive yourself mad trying to. I actually keep my Thai in a south-facing window. It's bright, and she really, really enjoys it there. She doesn't really get sunburnt. She does have a bit of thrips damage, like you can't really see on this leaf, but there is on some of the others. But she seems pretty happy. Not as happy as this fella. I don't know what it is with him. He's gone really weird. I mean, what's this? I mean, right, this is aerial roots. I know it is, but what? Why? Everywhere else, like, he's never done this before. I don't, like... See, what's this for? Look at them all. I think this is... Oh no, this one as well. Oh my god, this one's even worse. You see that? Really creepy, like... There. Aerial roots. And then even more, like, all up here. Such a weird plant. This is my Florida green. I don't have the heart. These two leaves clearly don't do anything, but I don't have the heart to chop them off. But I chopped and propped there, which is a really stupid thing to do because this will all end up just roots. And she's thriving. We've got a new leaf here, we've got a new leaf here, new leaf here. This one I poked and she's mad. I don't think she's ever going to unfurl. Like, when I say poked, basically I pulled the caterpillar off. Don't do that. She's also covered in mould. That's just, the mould isn't harmful. It's just basically, it's a self-watering pot, and I think the top was too damp for too long, got exposed to oxygen and mould grew. I'm not bothered. This house is full of the terrarium's got springtails in it and they end up everywhere, so it's fine. There's also, we're pretty sure, a gecko living in Smaug because we're missing one. And let me get Myrifidophora down. And there's proof. So this is Myrifidophora tetrasperma. Where's it gone? Is it that one? There's a gecko poop on that leaf. I've taken it off. I've taken it off. That's just the stain. She grew massive under the grow lights. She started growing these like massive leaves. And now, right, so this is a leaf that's sort of the size of my hand. And then we're getting like tiny leaves, but that's okay. The thing about moving to a new house is you never quite know how your plants are gonna deal with it. Technically, this should be fine. Like, my rubber plants have all gone crazy. This one grew like all these leaves. Which is it, this one that I really like? Or that one? Anyway, both my rubber plants just went wild. I've got a monstera that hates it. That Thai likes it. This Syngonium with the massive leaves just started growing these like massive leaves after years of producing tiny ones. There are like various ways that you can keep plants hydroponically, but they're a lot of effort. And this is like just an easy way. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing, but I don't know, I quite like it. As I say, like this kind of, it's not dirty, but it looks quite kind of grubby because it's got algae in it. That kind of aesthetic isn't for everybody. We tend to go for more of a natural, with our like terrarium and fish tanks and stuff, we tend to go for a more natural vibe rather than, like, a lot of people would hate that Smaug just grows however he likes. And I'm not like mad on the way he looks, but I'm willing to let him do what he's doing, weird aerial roots aside. So yeah, if you don't like it, don't do it, but I'm not. It really works for me because it's so easy to maintain, and crucially she's still alive and grows, so yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. I'll leave any relevant blog posts in the description. Not that I can think of any. So yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you next week. Bye.